Are you overwhelmed by all the parental control apps out there? Wondering which tools will actually protect your children online in 2025? I've tested the best options so you don't have to. Today, we're breaking down the top parental control tools. Everything from built-in settings on iPhones and Androids to router-based solutions and even gaming consoles. Have you ever felt that anxious knot in your stomach about your kids exploring the internet unsupervised? This episode is for you. Welcome to the Parent Tech Support Show, where I empower parents with the tech knowledge they need to know to protect their kids online. My mission is to demystify parental controls, share practical tips, and reveal the tricks kids use so that you can navigate the online world with confidence. I'm your host, Jack Hughes, and because I grew up in this age of digital devices, I've had plenty of experience with getting around parental controls and doing things that I wasn't supposed to. But those days are now over. Today, I use all that inside knowledge to help parents, such as yourself, protect your kids online. Now, why do parental controls matter in 2025? Why should you implement parental controls? So before we jump into those top 5 picks, let's talk about the why this is such a big deal. The online world is growing more sophisticated daily. New social media platforms pop up. AI chatbots become more advanced. I don't know if you heard of a service called Character AI or chatbots like it. Essentially, it's an AI that pretends to be children's girlfriend or their boyfriend, and it can lead them to do all sorts of horrible stuff. There's been many cases of kids killing themselves because of these chatbots. This is just one of the new dangers that 2025, this year, has presented. And proper parental controls aren't just about blocking explicit material. They're also about setting healthy boundaries, managing screen time, preventing online predators from contacting your child. I mean, the FBI has released a report that there are 500,000 online predators at any given moment. And the best part, parental controls can give you peace of mind. They can let you not have all this anxiety about what your child is doing on their phone. And peace of mind is totally worth it, especially when it comes to parental controls. But with so many choices, apps, built-in iOS features, router settings, gaming consoles, restrictions, it's overwhelming. It's like going to the gym for your first time ever. You don't know where to even start. And that's what today's episode is all about. So my top 5 picks for parental controls for this year, which is 2025. And I've tried about almost every parental control setting there is under the sun, from both my perspective as a former tech savvy kid who used to dodge all of the parental controls that my parents set up. They set up parental controls using screen time, which is the built-in parental controls on iPhones. They also set up third-party parental controls, which we'll get into all of that later. And so I have a lot of experience with parental controls, both as the kid and now as a person who's helping families set up parental controls. And so I wanted to give you a small list, or at least the basics on what to try first. And so my first part of this list, my first option, is using Apple's screen time. So Apple screen time is Apple's built-in parental controls. So if you have an iPhone, if you're an iPhone or an iPad family, if your family uses MacBooks, so MacBook Pro, desktop, Apple screen time is already on all of those devices, and there's no extra download required. So Apple's built-in parental controls is called Screen Time, and with Screen Time, you can set daily app limits, you can schedule downtime, you can restrict certain content. You can also restrict what they can buy from the App Store, what they can download. You can limit communication to certain people. You can stop them from watching PG-13 movies on their phone. There's a lot of things you can do with Apple's screen time that I just don't have the time right now to get into it. But one of the few reasons why I recommend it, especially, it's probably my highest recommended parental control service out there, mainly because I believe 80% of all kids use iPhones, or not kids, teenagers. kids as well, I guess. And so screen time just comes naturally with all of these devices, and it's built in, and best of all, it's free. There's no monthly fees like a lot of other parental controls. And Apple's screen time tends to be very reliable because it's built by Apple and built into the phone. And screen time tends not to slow down the phone or be buggy. A lot of other controls can slow down the phone or be buggy or suck up a lot of battery life. Using screen time, it's also very easy to monitor it. And you'll get weekly reports on what your child is doing on their device, how much time they're spending on this app or that app, what are they doing on these certain games. And so what screen time will do is it'll give you a weekly report on what your child is doing on their phone. But sadly, screen time is not without their cons. I'd say the worst part about screen time, that's the better way to say that, but the worst part about screen time is that it's incredibly confusing if you don't know what you're doing. You can leave major loopholes, or you can go the other way and overly restrict the device, and it's very confusing. I find it quite stupid because Apple, they pride themselves on being simplistic, and they pride themselves on being the coolest and the prettiest design ever. But screen time, which is their parental controls, is incredibly confusing, and 90% of parents don't know really what they're doing. Now, that 90%, I'm just pulling it out of thin air, but almost every parent I've talked to, if not every parent I've talked to, doesn't really know what they're doing with screen time, which is why I'm offering a 5-minute call with me that we can get on a 5-minute Zoom call, or you can call me. You can call my number. The link will be down below where you can join that call, and we'll talk for 5 minutes, and I'll see if I'll be able to help you with screen time and help you protect your child online with screen time. No strings attached to that. It's a completely free call. You can find the link down below to sign up for a little call with me. And screen time also has another con, which is that it's overly simplistic, or it's only simplistic, I should say, and it only has the basics. So you can't track location, you can't see what your child is texting, you can't see who they're texting, how long they're texting that one person, or you can't see what they're doing on social media, you can't see what content they're viewing on YouTube. You can only really see how much time they're spending on certain apps. So it's very simplistic, it's basic, and you don't have the ability to the ability to block inappropriate YouTube videos, for example. You can block YouTube itself, but you won't be able to block bad content on Instagram. Make sure you have a dedicated screen time password when you set up screen time, and separate that from the device password. Trust me, if you reuse passwords, or you put a simple password that your teen might be able to guess, your teen or your child will get that passcode if they want to. I was able to figure out my screen time password that my parents set up because it was the garage door code. It was 5006 at the time. And we also did the classic method of looking over the shoulder of the parent when they typed in the screen time password when they changed it. So make sure it's really hard to guess, and I'd also recommend that you change the screen time password every quarter or something, so that if they did figure out what the password is, they only will know it for a few months. So onto that second parental control tool that I wanted to talk about, and that is Google Family Link. So Google Family Link is pretty much the Android and the Chromebook version of screen time. So it's free, and it's designed by Google, and it ties really neatly into your child's Google account. So I recommend it for Android and Chromebook integration. It's perfect if your kid uses Android phones or have a Chromebook for school. So it's pretty much Google's version of screen time, just like Apple. Just like Apple has screen time, Google has Google Family Link. So Android and Chromebook integration, it works really well with those devices. It's free, just like screen time, and it's simple. You just download the Google Family Link on your own Android phone or your own phone. like screen time, you can set up time limits, you can have app approvals, you can set daily limits on their app usage, you can set downtime, you can require approval before your child can install new apps. Like screen time, you can have remote locking. If it's dinner time, their phone locks down on a schedule. Maybe their phone is locked down when they're at school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you can do all of this from your own device. And after you set up Google Family Link, try a test run by remotely locking your child's phone and seeing if that goes through successfully. This is just a pro tip for you. And I would also take advantage of the geolocation features. Some parents find comfort in knowing where their child's phone is during the day. And one limitation that Google Family Link has, like screen time, Family Link doesn't dive deep into social media monitoring. If your child uses apps like TikTok or Snapchat, Family Link can limit overall usage like screen time, but it won't be able to alert you about any specific content that they're viewing on these apps or what they're doing on these apps. It can only really tell you how much time, or it can really block those apps themselves. Which brings me on to my third point, which can help with some of that stuff in terms of social media and whatnot. And that would be third-party apps or third-party parental control apps like Quizno, like Bark, like NetNanny, like FamilySafe. And so these are independent parental control apps that typically require a subscription fee but offer a richer feature set. Bark, for example, is known for monitoring text and social media for risky keywords. Quizno is known for its all-in-one dashboard, and NetNanny or Covenant Eyes have been around for years, and they're dependable filters. Well, the reason why I recommend these third-party parental controls is they offer advanced monitoring. Many of these apps will do a lot more than just what screen time and just what Google Family Link. These are much more specialized. They're a lot stronger, and they also have cross-platform support. So they work on iOS, they work on Android, and they work on Windows, they work on Mac, they work on all the devices, or all the major devices, I should say. Some can even work on Kindle tablets. And these also will give you more detailed reports so you can see exactly how your child spends their time online. They also can give you customized filters. You can block certain websites by category. With screen time, you can only limit adult websites, but with these other parental control services, you can really hone in on that, and you can block what you want to block. Let's say you want to block all the mature content, but only allow educational sites. So you can do stuff like that with these third-party parental control apps. Another pro tip is I would test out the free trials. So like for 1 month, you go with Bark, you test out the free trial with that. Then you go to Quizno, or then you go to FamilySafe, and I would test out these free trials maybe on your own phone before committing, just so you can see the alerts, you can see the interface, you can see the setup time, and you can figure out which tool would work best for your family. I personally love FamilySafe. I also really like Bark, but the cons are they are expensive. These can run anywhere from $5 to $15 to maybe even $25 a month, depending on how many children you have, how many devices they have. Plus, you need to keep them updated. You need to keep these services updated. But if you do want advanced oversight, as I was saying earlier, it can be worth every penny. Another problem is it can be very hard to see through a lot of the marketing gobbledygook that all these companies say. Like, a lot of companies will be like, we can monitor everything on Snapchat and this and this and this, but it turns out they can only do that on an Android phone, and they can't do that on an iPhone. So there's a lot of marketing gobbledygook that you really got to shift through when it comes to these third-party parental controls. And these third-party parental controls tend to be a lot more buggy and a lot less reliable than the built-in controls like Screen Time and Google Family Link. But what's good about this is that you can stack these parental controls on top of each other. So if you just want to have a simple parental controls, just set up screen time, just set up Google Family Link. But if you want to really specialize into it, if you really want to take the time, getting third-party parental controls to keep your child safe online can be a worthwhile investment. And the fourth parental control tool that I want to tell you about, that I want to explain to you, is router-based controls or DNS filters. So these are using tools like OpenDNS. These are using tools like clean browsing. Almost every modern browser, like the Google browser, or almost every modern, not browser, router. That's the word. Almost every modern router, like the Google router, will have a parental controls feature built into it. So on the Google router, for example, you can restrict it so it doesn't show any adult content on the home internet. You can also layer on a service like OpenDNS or clean browsing that can also filter adult websites at the network level. And I recommend this because it is whole home coverage. No matter what device jumps on your Wi-Fi, maybe your child goes out and buys a burner phone, and so they go home and they want to go use that burner phone to get around parental controls. I used to do that as a kid, and because it's Wi-Fi wide, because it's the entire Wi-Fi in your house, it will still block that burner phone. And you can set time limits per device. So specific devices, you can set time limits. Some routers let you identify each device by the name. So for example, you're allowed to use your phone past 12 p.m. or not 12 p.m., 12 a.m., but your child's phone is blocked at 12 a.m. And these router settings are incredibly low maintenance once you set them up. They can be quite confusing when you set them up, but once they're set up, once they're configured, it's a one and done process and you're good to go as long as you remember your admin password. Another pro tip, if your router supports guest networks, you can create one for visitors to avoid messing up your parental control settings. You can also consider using a DNS filter like OpenDNS. Once it's set, it'll block known adult websites or malicious sites. You can really hone in that filter so you can block gambling sites. You can only allow educational content if you want. And remember to lock down your router's admin password so that your child can't just log in and switch these settings behind your back. Now, one limitation with these network Wi-Fi filters is that you can't control what happens over cellular data. If your child turns off the Wi-Fi and they just use their phone's data plan, the router-based restrictions won't apply there. So that's why it's best to combine router controls with cellular level controls. So you can also set up parental controls using the major cellular services like Verizon, like Sprint. They all offer parental controls as well. So you put both those on and then you have another layer or another tool of parental controls. So going on to the fifth and final parental control tool that I really wanted to tell you about, and that would be gaming console and smart TV parental controls. So don't forget about Xbox, don't forget about PlayStation, don't forget about the Nintendo Switch or the Roku TVs or your Apple TVs. Even Netflix has built-in parental controls. All these platforms have parental controls built into it or offer some form of it. So each platform generally has its own settings, it has its own way to set up these built-in parental controls. So like on an Xbox, you can limit mature games, you can set restrictions, you can set time limits. Same thing with the Switch, same thing with the PlayStation, and it all requires a screen time, not a screen time password, but a parental control password. They all have different names for it. And what's nice about this is you can set up platform specific protection. So if your child mostly games on the PlayStation, you can have the settings on the PlayStations to block M-rated content or overspending on any game or overspending on any microtransactions. And usually these things are very easy to use. Usually you just go into the console settings and then find parental controls and set a PIN. Another pro tip, just like screen time, for each console or streaming service, you should create a unique password so that your child won't guess And also check the spending or purchasing settings. Otherwise, you might find a surprise on your credit card when your child buys a bunch of stuff. I know my older brother did that one time with my dad, and he got in big trouble because it was a lot of money that he spent on a game. Now, there are some limitations to these built-in controls on the TVs, on Netflix, on these consoles. Why these settings can block mature games or R-rated movies, they won't necessarily handle web browsing. So Xbox, PlayStation, well, they have an internet browser app built into it. So make sure you disable that or restrict the built-in browser if you want full coverage. I know sometimes kids will use these gaming consoles to access the internet, to access inappropriate content online, because their parents never think to restrict the web browser on an Xbox or PlayStation, just because it never crosses their mind. It makes sense. So you want to make sure that is also restricted. And if there's one thing I've learned while helping dozens of families, that is, you rarely find a single solution that covers everything. Typically, you need a mix and match. So device level controls, that would be Apple Screen Time, that would be Google Family Link. You want to add network level controls, that would be router settings, that would be cellular filters. And then to top it all off, you're going to add specialized third-party app controls to block certain things, maybe on YouTube or something like that. So don't worry, you don't need to be an IT expert to figure all this out. You can go to my website at parenttech.support. You can sign up for my newsletter. That will get you started on some guides on how to best protect your kids. When you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get my free guide on how to use screen time. That will tell you how to set up time limits. That will tell you how to block pornographic content online. And as I said earlier, screen time is very confusing, so that guide will go a long way with helping you understand screen time especially. So parental controls are powerful, but they are not magic. Kids can be really clever. Some know how to bypass DNS filters or set up secret workarounds. So keep a dialogue open. Ask about their online world, what they're watching on YouTube, who are they chatting with, what apps are they using. The more you communicate, the more effective all these tools become. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed my 5 parental control tools for the year 2025. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with other parents who also want to foster healthier tech habits for their kids. Thanks for listening to the Parent Tech Support Show, and I'll see you next week.